Good evening, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. We will get started in just a few minutes. I logged on so I could do some administrative sharing here. I'm going to share to some of the sites that I'm on. I'd love to have you guys join. All right. Share broadcast. Okay. Invite friends. Live video. Okay. Got 2 minutes left, and then we will begin for tonight's episode of Ask Anything You Want on Firearms. Got 1 minute to go, T-minus 1 minute, and then we will start. All right, out there in social media land, this is Marcus Melnick with FirearmMentor.com. Over the last several nights and through next Tuesday, I will be on Facebook Live every night from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. to talk about a different topic on firearms or self-defense and allow you to post whatever questions you may have. Sometimes people don't want to post a question because they don't want anyone else to think, oh, it's a stupid question. No such thing as a stupid question. If you feel that way, please send me your question via email at tacticaldaddy@gmail.com. Once again, my website is firearmmentor.com, common spelling. So tonight we are going to talk about ammunition, bullets and cartridges, and what the difference is, and what the terminology is, and how ammunition works, etc., etc., etc. So, before I do that, I am broadcasting on September 11th. This is the 20-year anniversary from the Twin Towers attack and collapse, and I hope that everyone out there in their own special way gave it a thought, gave it a prayer, however you wanted to honor the memory of those who not only perished that day, but perished in the subsequent 20-year war, occupation, pursuing Taliban, pursuing terrorists. Because, whether you support war against the Taliban or not, or Al-Qaeda or not, we always want to support the actual troops. All right, so we are going to dive right into ammunition. So it's important to select the appropriate ammunition for your gun. What happens if you put the wrong ammunition in your gun? A couple things. Number one, nothing will happen. Number two, it'll fire once. And number three, you will get a spontaneous disassembly. That's a catastrophic failure where the gun blows up in your face. It's kind of a cutesy term to say dynamic disassembly, but that's what'll happen. So nobody wants you to get hurt. Nobody wants you to, do the wrong thing on the range. Make sense? Makes sense. So we're going to talk about ammunition. So ammo is generally classified by caliber. And caliber is a measurement. It's a measurement of the diameter of the projectile. And we are going to get into the what is what parts are what, that type of thing in a few minutes. But the projectile or the bullet is measured by its diameter. So, thinking back to school, we had the English system and the metric system. A bullet like a 9mm was developed in Europe. hence the metric system. A 38, 45, 357 developed not in Europe, United States, England, and hence it is the English measurement. So if you look on boxes and that type of thing, you will see sometimes it'll say .38, .45, and that's a measurement of hundredths of an inch. If there's 3 digits, it's a measurement of thousandths of an inch. So 357 is 357 thousandths of an inch in diameter. Okay, that is how ammunition is measured. Generally, it's the diameter of the barrel. Smaller caliber guns tend to have less recoil. So let's get into the parts. All right, I'm on cellular. I was on Wi-Fi, but we had a little glitch. So we're going to talk about the parts of a cartridge or a bullet. So first, we're going to talk about the case. This is the case. Okay. Whereas this is a fully assembled bullet, or cartridge, I should say. The case is empty. If you have a semi-automatic, it's what gets ejected from the firearm. If you have a revolver, it actually stays in the cylinder. Now, the important thing to note about the casing is that most of them are reusable. Some people decide to take the casings, punch out the primer, put in a new primer, fill it with gunpowder, and seat a new bullet. The advantage of doing that is it's a lot less expensive than purchasing ammo because you are doing the labor component. The negative to that, and I used to do this as a kid with my father, the negative to that is it is extremely time consuming and you have to be extremely pay attention with really close detail, because if you double load the gunpowder in that cartridge, you will get a catastrophic disassembly. So you have to be 100%, no distractions, no phones. When I did it, there was no such thing as the cell phone. You have to be 100% focused. I also don't recommend using other people's reloads because you don't know how focused they were. All right, so that is the casing. On the base of the cartridge, you can see right here, there is a silver disc. This is a piece of live ammunition. There is also a disc at the bottom. That disc in the center is called a primer. A primer, when the bullet is in the gun, or the cartridge is in the gun, I'm trying to do this so you can see, a firing pin strikes that primer, which ignites the gunpowder in here, creating rapidly expanding gases, and because it's encapsulated in a harder metal, there's only one direction for the bullet to go, and that is down the pipe or down the barrel. That's the basics on how it works. I don't know if how well you guys can see this, but no, I am not selling drugs. This is actually what gunpowder looks like. It's black, it's a flaky, sometimes it's called ball because it's in little balls, sometimes it's in little cylinders, depending on if you have rifle, magnum, pistol type gunpowder. All right, the projectile itself. This is called a round nose bullet. You can see the nose is round. This is also a jacketed bullet. So you can see on the inside of that circle, that is lead, and there's a jacket on the outside made of copper. When you go to the range, I highly recommend you use full metal jacket type bullets like I just showed you. This is another full metal jacket. Now it's not really round, it's more of a cone shaped. That's a full metal jacket. Now, you can get other materials. This particular bullet is semi-jacketed. So there's a jacket that comes partway up the bullet, but the exposed nose is actually lead. You can shoot these. The actual cartridge or the actual projectile is coated with this copper as it sits into the cartridge. Okay. The other option you can get, and when I was younger, this is what we used to load, is a lead nose bullet. This is lead. Okay. The reason why I don't recommend these, there's nothing wrong with them. They will work. They will function. The reason I don't recommend these is because they will foul up your gun and make it a little bit more difficult to clean. You'll have to spend some additional time brushing through the barrel because lead flakes come off, especially when it's hot. The bullets kind of melt off a little bit, and it's a little bit difficult to clean. So today, it's difficult to find ammunition, so you're best off getting whatever you can possibly get. All right, next, there is something called a hollow point, and you can see that this point is actually hollow. Another way that a hollow point looks, and this is a speed loader, you can see these are hollow points. They don't look like hollow points. They have a polymer insert. That is, I am colorblind, but I believe that's a red or an orange. It'll behave the exact same way. So what's the difference between ball ammo and hollow point ammo? Well, ball ammo is for the military. It's for range time. Will it work as a defensive cartridge? Absolutely. But a hollow point, when it penetrates flesh, actually expands and creates a larger hole. Why is that important? Well, we never shoot to kill. We don't want to kill anyone, ever. We want to shoot to stop the attack. The fastest way to stop an attack is to have the person leak out blood fast. Bigger the hole, more blood leaks out. I know it's a horrible thing to say. I'm sorry, but that is the dynamics. That is the reality of self-defense firearms. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you the difference between a rim fire and a center fire cartridge. I've been showing you center fire cartridges. Center fire means it has that little silver primer that's in the center fire. Firing pin strikes the primer. But there's also something called a rim fire. And the rim fire, you can see, does not have that central circle. The component, or the components that make the primer explode upon impact, it's a shock-sensitive explosive, are actually contained in the rim. The firing pin strikes the rim of the casing, which everything else works the same. There's a little spark inside the cartridge. It ignites the gunpowder. Boom, you hear a big boom. Bullet goes down the barrel. So those are all of the designations of firearms. So here's what happens. Bullet goes in the gun. You pull the trigger, firing pin strikes that primer. Primer sparks, igniting the gunpowder inside, creating rapidly expanding gases, pushing the bullet down the barrel and out of the gun. Now the noise, the bang, actually occurs after the bullet leaves the gun. It reaches your ear or ears after the bullet is gone. So if you're ever shooting with a friend and they miss, and they say, oh, well, the noise made me jump. No, that's not true. The noise might have made you jump, but you missed because you missed. So how do you determine what caliber your firearm uses? Well, 3 things. First of all, it is stamped on the gun. Now, I don't have a gun with me. I have a prop. It is typically stamped right in there on the barrel. It'll say 9mm. It'll say 45 ACP. It is also stamped on the bottom. I don't know if you can see this because it's quite tiny. I'm trying to focus here. It's hard to see, but around the edges, this actually says Federal, that's the brand, 357 Magnum. Okay, this is another one. This says that Marcus is really old and can't see the writing. I need a magnifying glass, so I won't tell you what that says. That was a little humor there, but I really couldn't read it because I'm getting old. All right. Now, not to confuse you, there is something called plus P and plus P plus ammunition. Plus P means positive pressure. So if you think back to the history of the mid-1980s, police departments were largely carrying 357 or 38 revolvers. And the gangs in the inner cities started to get better guns than the cops. So the first step was to say, well, let's come up with plus P ammunition. It has more kinetic energy, there's more recoil, there's more energy when that bullet disrupts an individual's flesh, creating a larger shock wave, and that's how it kind of came into being. Plus P plus is the same thing, but even more oomph. Now, I don't recommend using plus P or plus P plus. A lot of firearms, particularly those manufactured before the 1980s, cannot handle plus P ammunition. Most Modern firearms can handle plus P ammunition. However, I am not telling you to use plus P ammunition in your firearm. I am telling you, read the manual. If you don't know, call the manufacturer. They will tell you if your Glock or your SIG or your Smith & Wesson can handle plus P ammunition. The reality is you do not have to ever buy plus P ammunition. Again, this is COVID times, unless that's the only thing you can find. And if it's the only thing you can find and your gun can handle it and you need to buy ammunition, by all means do it. Avoid plus P plus. The reason why I'm telling you to avoid plus P plus is there is a standard out there called SAAMI, SAAMI. It's an acronym, and it basically tests ammunition. There is no standard for plus P plus ammunition. So it's whoever it is loading the bullets with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth saying, oh, that's enough ammo, that's enough gunpowder. So you don't want to do that. You want to purchase plus P at maximum. All right, hope there's no questions. There are different types of ammunition that mean the same thing. So 9mm is the same thing as 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, 9x19. 19 is the length of the bullet in millimeters. So it's 9mm in diameter. The entire cartridge is 19 millimeters in length. This is a dummy round, but that's basically what it looks like without the yellow projectile. It'll have an actual projectile on it, not this demonstration wax purposes, or this wax for demonstration purposes. All right, so that is ammo. What should you carry? What should you have in your defensive gun? Well, first of all, when hollow point ammo is more expensive than what I will call range ammo or ball ammo. So you don't want to go to the range and blow off any of your hollow point ammunition. Now, if you have a semi-auto, best bet is to buy a couple different brands of hollow point, go to the range, see what your gun feeds. For example, a 1911 sometimes can be finicky. If you put a hollow point in a 1911, or sometimes a 380, like a Walther PPK, for example, they don't feed very well, and they have to use ball ammunition. And the way that you're going to determine if the bullet is appropriate for you is by firing it. They all are a little bit different. I showed you earlier these polymer inserts. They kind of make this into a round-nosed bullet. This particular bullet is a hollow point. It's got some edges on it. It may not feed appropriately into your firearm. So what happens when you shoot a semi-auto and this gets ejected? Where can this go? Well, it can go in a couple sensitive areas. First of all, it can bounce off your head, bounce off your face, your glasses. That's why you wear eye protection. It's annoying. It feels like someone doing that to your head. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to put you in the hospital. Sometimes, though, this hot piece of brass, and remember, it was just involved in an explosion. So it is hot. And when I say hot, I mean not send you to the hospital hot. It's not lava hot, but it's very uncomfortable. The best thing I can kind of equate is if you were to get a cooked bacon and you were to get a huge bacon splatter on your skin. Send you to the hospital? Probably not. Does it hurt? Yes. So this hot piece of brass can go down your shirt. It can land in between your eyeglass ear and your face. It can land here. It can even get in there. Okay? First thing you need to do is ensure that your firearm is pointed in a safe direction. Okay? Sometimes that means putting the gun down. First thing you do when you're on the range and you're shooting statically is put the gun down. There was a woman at a range in the last couple of years who was shooting. She caught a hot piece of brass down her shirt and immediately reacted and accidentally shot herself. Not a good day for her. Is she okay? Absolutely. I don't know if she shot again, but she definitely was injured enough for the ambulance to pick her up and for her to have a little bit of surgery. Make sense? All right, I hope it does. Now, Just because someone is shot doesn't mean they're going to fall down. Sometimes they're on PCP, meth. Sometimes their adrenaline just doesn't make them feel pain. There was a guy, Chicago policeman, his name was Sergio Olivier. Sergio Olivier was Mr. Universe the years before Arnold Schwarzenegger was Mr. Universe. And I don't recommend this. Remember, we don't pick up a gun in anger. But he got in a fight with his wife, an argument, and she shot him in the abdomen. And he was so muscled that the bullet did not penetrate his layer of abdominal muscle, did not go into his abdominal wall. He kind of thought it was a mosquito bite. That's a joke. He really didn't. He did need to go to the hospital. He did need to get a couple of stitches. Okay? Are real people like that? No. But in the wintertime, someone could have a heavy leather jacket on. If you have a lightweight bullet, 22 for example, it might not penetrate. 25 won't penetrate. So you may have to have multiple shots. So, we've gone 20 minutes. I don't have any watchers other than my bride. Normally I would open this up for questions, but since I'm using Larry Howard's Facebook account because someone who was woke complained about me to Facebook, my normal Facebook page has been blocked from doing live videos, even though I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't do anything illegal. So, people, a third of the people out there hate guns, a third of the people out there love guns, and a third of the people out there are in the middle somewhere. They don't care, or maybe they're curious or interested. But the reality is that our society today is focused on hurt feelings instead of what's accurate. And so let me go into that a little bit more. I'm in several networking groups, and in one of them on Facebook, I posted 2 Supreme Court cases, DeShaney versus Winnebago County and Gonzalez versus the city of Castle Rock. In both of these Supreme Court cases, and there's more than just these 2, the federal Supreme Court ruled that the police have no duty to protect an individual citizen. They are there to protect the public. That's why the police didn't go in during the riots. That's why there's tons of stuff being destroyed. The police are not there to protect an individual business. They are there to maintain order. That's a hard pill to swallow. So one of the things that I promulgate really, really encourages people to prep, to be self-reliant, to understand what it's like to have first aid training, to have CPR training, to use a firearm. Because if there's a riot, the police might not be there to help you. So you are on your own. Is this the Wild West? Not exactly, but a version of it, it could be. All right, so prepare for yourself. Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. Plan it out. Do some creative thinking. Think about what could go wrong, what could possibly go wrong. And in the Chicago area, I'll tell you what can go wrong. You ready? You're probably going to think I'm going to say, oh, there's crime, there's gang members. Yes, that could go wrong. But being prepared, being safe is more about self-reliance than it is about firearms. This past week, there was a huge storm that rolled through the northwest suburbs. A lot of people lost power. Okay? Is a gun going to help them? No. Are candles going to help them? Flashlight? Batteries? Glow sticks? Absolutely. And during the day, it's not a big deal. But if you got to get up at night to use the restroom, walk the dog, whatever you have to do, you should have an illumination device. That's what I mean about being prepared. I happen to focus on firearms, and there are instructors out there who are just as good as me. There are instructors out there who are better than me. And there are instructors who treat this like a business. And, maybe they were a real estate agent, and they said, oh, this is a good way to make business. And they're all about making the Benjamins, making the money. Would you rather take a class from someone like that, or someone offering, a free class and it's crap, or would you rather take a class from someone like me who teaches from the heart? Sure, I have a PowerPoint out, but that's only for structure. I know exactly what I'm going to say when I'm going to say it. Earlier today, I had the opportunity of teaching with another instructor who is absolutely outstanding. He and I are on the same page. It's like we were separated at birth as far as firearms go. Real easygoing, good sense of humor, fantastic instructor. And we co-taught, or mostly he taught, mostly I was a safety officer, although I did do some instruction, a dynamic defensive pistol class. And that involved shooting on the move, drawing your firearm with live ammo from your holster and engaging multiple targets. And we actually, since it was a very small class, we shot around barricades. We had these barricades in the range. We would lean to the right, pretending they're a wall, lean to the left, pretending they're a wall. And that's some fantastic training. You should do some dynamic training at least once a year. Don't want to take a class, just want to go to the range for dynamic training? Look me up, tacticaldaddy@gmail.com. I can give you the resources of ranges that have every week tactical shoots. You go, you get tested a little bit just so they make sure your finger is off the trigger when you draw, and then you are engaging multiple targets on the move. It is a blast. It's a lot of fun. You have to do it safely. When I do things like that, I do wear a bulletproof vest. Not that I don't trust anyone, but accidents do happen. Negligence does happen. There are also ricochets off the range. I've gotten hit with a couple of ricochets. Nothing that broke my skin. It was a fragment of a bullet. I was upset by it. It's happened several times. I wear a vest to protect my vital organs. All right, I would normally ask for questions, but there's not really any watchers. So, we are going to continue to do this. I told you how ammunition works. There are different metals involved, and you can actually get a gun that you can practice at home with. It's called a pellet gun or a BB gun. Now, when I was a kid, I was allowed to go into our basement and lock the door so no one walked in when I was shooting. Take a pellet gun with an actual metal trap. It used to be a cardboard trap with one of those big, thick phone books that would capture the pellets. But today phone books aren't really available, at least not that thick. So I have a metal trap. It's exactly the same one. Not the same kind. It's the same one I used as a child. And I can set it up in my garage with my pellet gun, and I can shoot. And guess what? Pellets and carbon dioxide cartridges are a lot less money than ammunition. So if you want to keep up your practice, you can certainly do that. I'm going to caution you, though. The same safety rules apply. Sure, it's not the same power as an actual cartridge, an actual bullet, but it can still hurt you. You do need to wear eye protection. The noise is not going to hurt your ears, but it is loud when there's a big dink at the end of when the metal trap captures the pellet. As a matter of fact, when I've done it, my wife says, "What's that horrible noise?" Well, it was me. So just don't be 10-year-old Marcus. 10-year-old Marcus, one day on a Saturday morning, there was no internet, there was no Netflix or YouTube, but I would go down into the basement and play with trains, and then I'd shoot. So a little bit of a dichotomy, a child activity and then an adult activity. And I set up the trap one time, and I'm on my own. I'm 10 years old. I'm shooting, dink, 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 and then I hear donk. It was a different noise, and I was like, what is that? I don't know. I shrugged. I didn't have a lot of shooting experience at that point. Remember, I started when I was 7. I was only 10. Just keep shooting. Dink, dink, donk. What the heck? So I get out from behind my bench. I walk up to the target, and I'm inspecting the paper target. And there's holes in it. And then I look down. I shot the dryer twice. That was that funky sound. So I sat there, turned beet red, and said, all right, well, I did it. I have to fall on the sword. It was obvious it was me. My dad was a fantastic shot. I don't think he ever missed, at least since I was born. Everyone knew it would be me anyway. So I went upstairs and I said, Mom, some bad news. I shot the dryer twice. And she was less than happy with me. She went down, she inspected it. It was really only superficial damage. It was cosmetic. It wasn't It didn't affect the function of the dryer, it just had 2 dents on the front of it. But I wasn't allowed to do that for a little bit of time after that. So until my dad bought some plywood sheeting and I was able to lean it up against the dryer, and then if I missed or I flinched and the bullet went low, I also put one behind the trap. If I missed and it hit the wood would capture it. It wouldn't damage anything. And did I miss ever again? Absolutely. I am a human being. Of course I missed. All right, so we are wrapping up our 30 minutes. I will be posting this in several groups. If you have questions, please visit my website. If you see this on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. My website is firearmmentor.com. My email address is tacticaldaddy@gmail.com. Tomorrow night I will attempt, I don't know how long I was suspended from live Facebook videos, but tomorrow night I will attempt to go back onto the Marcus account. If I can't get on or if I'm still blocked, I will get on this account. Thank you very much, Lawrence Howard, for allowing me to use your Facebook account to broadcast. I hope everyone has a safe and happy rest of your weekend. Thank you, everyone.